Hello Trekkies, and welcome back with another character, Datafile. Today we're going to talk about one of the most interesting secondary character on Star Trek The Next Generation, the first individual Borg, third of five, aka Hugh. There's been 50 plus years of Star Trek, and we got to know many beautiful characters like Balog, Dana Rappel, or even Hugh, who only appeared 1 or 2 episodes in the course of the series, but even though they've been there for such a short time, they became a really memorable member of the Star Trek franchise. Well, Hugh is certainly one of these characters because he was not a big part, but he was a significant part of the Next Generation family. Third of five, aka Hugh, first appeared in the Next Generation episode Borg. He and his crewmates crash landed on the Algorithm cluster, and the Enterprise crew went there to actually find out what's happened with the ship. They found out that there's a Borg ship, a destroyed Borg ship. They wanted to see if they can save something, they can get some more information, and despite the fact they didn't really find too much thing, but they found a damaged Borg drone that he was still alive. Well, out of compassion, Dr. Crusher brought him into the Enterprise, and she actually healed him. Then he regained conscious and he started to act like a normal Borg.
You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
It's just that didn't feel like they're going to go any further with that at the beginning. Obviously, Captain Picard found this as an opportunity, and he wanted to use the Borg to send it back to the collective, but with a virus, and they will wipe out the whole Borg collective because of that virus. They will disintegrate because they're so dependent on computers. Well, this plan might have been worked if there wouldn't be Dr. Crusher. Dr. Crusher realized that, hey, we're talking about a moral thing here. If we do this, we're not gonna be even better than them. We're gonna destroy the whole entire race. Even though they are Borg and they are a collection of multiple races, we're going to destroy them using this one single Borg. When Crusher and Geordi started to spend more time with the Borg, they realized that, hey, something is wrong, something is not right. The Borg, obviously being disconnected from the collective, he didn't get that much voice in his head. He started to rely more on himself. He started to ask questions that he was observing doing the humans, the individuals doing in the Enterprise, named Geordi and Beverly. They got to the point when actually he was asking like, hey, why do you have that name? Why do you have this name? Why do I have a name? So after this realization, they gave him the name Hugh, and they started to refer him as Hugh, not as a Borg drone or third of five. But obviously that didn't really help on the situation, because a lot of people still were really anxious about Guinan and Captain Picard namely. Guinan was quite intrigued, and she was obviously had a really big rage towards the Borg because they destroyed her home planet, they destroyed her family, and the whole Dealorians basically spread out of the galaxy. So she wasn't really keen on talk to Hugh, but she got some energy and courage, and she actually went down and found out herself that, hey, Hugh is actually more a human being, more an individual than just a part of a killing machine. She tried to convince Captain Picard, but Captain Picard still was quite furious about him. He didn't want to let his personal feelings, his crewmates' feelings, affect his judgment on the Borg, and he didn't want to his plan to fail. I do feel that Captain Picard's reaction with Hugh was purely served as a revenge as well, because Captain Picard being captured by the Borg, he was altered by the Borg, he being ordered to destroy people, and having this controversy that a Borg that used to be a killing machine got the name by the crew, and he started to discovering that he is an individual that just didn't really fit the way how Captain Picard thought about the Borg. So this one individual Borg challenged Captain Picard's judgment on the Borg itself, which is quite a big thing, because if you remember the episode Borg, at the beginning he was quite sure that this is what he wants to do, this is what he wants to use the Borg for, but then later on, because he found out that there's more behind this Borg, he changed his heart. Instead of going ahead with the original plan, they actually thought that maybe they just have Hugh integrated back to the Borg collective, and he can transfer this sense of individuality, sense of freedom from the collective to all across the Borg collective. So they said goodbye to Hugh, they went back to the planet, they actually transported him down with Geordi, and they said goodbye to each other, and that's what we thought, that we're never gonna see this character. Well, after the first encounter, we found out that their plan basically succeeded. The Borg actually got a sense of individuality, loads of drones actually got out of the collective, and they been outcasted members of the Borg collective. They being gathered together with Hugh, and they started building their own collective. Although at the beginning they didn't didn't know how to go or where to go or what to do because they didn't have any leader. And that's when they bumped into Lore, the worst possible leader option ever, and then we're gonna talk about him as well in a different video. Having Lore and his evil personality, he started to do experiments on the Borgs, and for his own advantage, of course. By the time when he went too far, Hugh realized that, hey, this is just not what we really want. This is just a brutal person who just, makes experiments on us. We need some help. We need some more help. But Hugh wasn't really happy seeing the Enterprise crew again. Well, that was mainly because he was blaming the Enterprise crew what happened with the Borg and what happened with the sense of individuality that they started to promote in the Borg collective. But by the end, Hugh realized that even though they give him the individuality, they let him to keep the individuality, and the whole reason that happened afterwards and it led to the leadership of Lore, he really wanted to help their friends because they were his family, his friends, and he wouldn't want them to be harmed. And after these events, later he became the leader of these individual Borg drones. After the Next Generation, we don't really know what happened with Hugh. Obviously, with the extended Star Trek universe, with the literatures, books, and the games, we got to know that he was in two or three novels, and he also came back in Star Trek Online as the part of the Delta Rising expansion pack, where he was Hugh as well. A funny thing about his name, it came out as a mispronunciation. When he was asking Dr. Crusher that, hey, your name is, and then Crusher was like, I am Beverly, he is Geordi, and you, Hugh.
I'm Beverly. He's Geordi. And you?
You.
That's it. Hugh.
Hugh.
So this was basically a pun that really came out in English, obviously. In many other countries, they gave a different name to the character because the pun Hugh didn't really come across. In Japan, they called him Blue, and in France, they called him Lou. Hugh, played by Jonathan Delarco, who also played the Phantom in the episode Void from Star Trek Voyager, and if you played with Star Trek games, you might know his voice from Star Trek Bridge Commander, where he gave the voice of Miguel Pedro Diaz, and also from Star Trek Armada 2, where he gave a couple of his voices to other characters. Obviously, ever since Star Trek, he played in many other TV shows. He played in The American Dream, The Closer, Major Crimes, and in Side by Side next to Robin Williams in The Crazy Ones as well for one episode. Hugh represented so much in The Next Generation in that 1 and 2 episodes that made his character so memorable that I think, without saying, he's one of the most well-known secondary character in the course of Next Generation that we know. Obviously, I would really love to know what do you think about his character, what did you like about his character, and what did you didn't like about his character, and what would you wish we seen from his character? Would you love to see him more? Would you wanted to see him more? Or you wouldn't just, he was there, it was enough, and we just forget about him? So please let me know your thoughts about this character in the comment section below. As always, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to receive all the geekiness every week. And until next time, live long and prosper.